I'm down here near the hospital. Today is July 1, 2011. KVCI on location with my beautiful brother John Robinson. We were just riding. We just left McDonald's and we decided to pull in here and just to talk. What's up, Doc? Tell us something, brother. What's on your mind today?
Man, how's everybody out there in Viewview land? It's we up here this morning. We left McDonald's. We had a pretty interesting conversation with a gentleman down there, and we are on our mission. And Brother Ryan here is our news journalist here in Lowndes County. The Valdosta media have shut us completely out. They don't want to hear nothing that we have to say. And we are determined to fight economic oppression. And we're going to get some of this contract money that we've been denied with federal access to federal funds. We are working with the city managers, and they seem to be working with us pretty good and honestly at the present time. But we are working directly from the chief of staff officers out of Washington. We're working with Mr. Michael Blake, and we are getting ready to try to build a model that can be used on a national basis. We are asking that everyone that's contracting to realize that we are entitled to the access of federal funds, and that we are determined, Brother Ryan, that we're going to be able to bring about some economical changes in our community by working directly with the White House, confront the issues head on, and calling the good old boys down as the good old boys here in Lowndes County. And we are not going to allow nothing to defeat us in what our goals are, as far as getting some money for the very first time in the black community.
What happened yesterday, my beautiful brother? We met yesterday. Tell our viewers what happened yesterday at that meeting in terms of trying to get some dollars in this community.
We met with HUD Housing, the Valdosta Housing Authority, who works underneath HUD Housing, and for the very first time they are using a method that's going to try to isolate projects for local contractors without violating any ethical rules or laws. That we're going to utilize this as an example that if we can keep the monies into our communities by utilizing the contractors from these communities that are hired, the unskilled, all the skilled from the community, to get the monies back into the hands of those in the community. I hope I said that right. And the architect, he's made a statement that this is the very first time that he have concerted such an effort to something so positive that's a little different, okay? I hope that kind of...
We keep hearing in the meeting that we go to, one brother that was there yesterday, he asked the question, why is it that since 1968 we have been locked out of the process, and that the ones who implemented these federal laws didn't do any follow-up to ensure that the low-income people for which these programs were set up did not benefit from the laws that were put in place?
Well, HUD really needs to be revitalized. You know, in 1968, when it was first implemented, well, Martin Luther was killed in April of 1968. So, you know, we got to look at what happened psychologically to our nation, okay? We have that intellectual ability to comprehend and understand the things that happen with us regardless of level of education, okay? So we realized that there was a mechanism put in place, but it was an entrapment by a flawed, foul system that have led to something this gentleman was telling us this morning about kind of like being branded.
And mentioning that guy this morning, isn't it amazing? And to all who view this video, we do on behalf of the people. It's amazing that our only newspaper, my beautiful sister Kay Harris, refused to meet with John Robinson and myself concerning the economically oppressed people in our community. Yet, as you can find on my blog, we have been interviewed on television station with Comcast in Atlanta. We've been on a full-page cutout in the Miami Herald concerning Rosewood and other problems here in this community. We've been on various radio stations, met with Senator Robert Brown, Representative Tyrone Brooks, Representative David Lucas, G.B.R, members of the People's Agenda, Ms. Ruffins, but yet here in the local area of South Georgia, nobody seemed interested in the economically oppressed. Nobody seemed to care about what the issue that we are bringing to the forefront through other news media outlets. It seems strange that other entities is interested in our stories, but not the South Georgia Media Network. We have traveled at least 4 times to places outside of the South Georgia area to talk about the Equipment 10. But you don't know nothing about that, YouTube watchers. You don't know nothing about that. But we intend, through this YouTube, videos like this one, my brother John Robertson, I talked about him last night. You'll see that in a minute too. We want you fully informed. We do not want you anymore left in the white.
See, the economically oppressed people are the people that's not in the clique.
And among the slicks.
And among the slicks. See, we are talking now for the very first time, and it's upsetting some people, but this is a very, very unique situation where these people of power, this structure have been in place for 151 years from the birth of the city of Valdosta here in Lowndes County, and from the birth of it, it's been a certain group of people controlling it through their wealth. And this is done with now. It's broken because the city's metro. It's no longer a little small country town. It's metro, and that makes it different. Now, what they are doing, they are using foreigners to exploit us to our communities. The bank system comes in, they'll fund the Indians. He'll come in, he'll buy the stores right in the black neighborhood. Then he'll fill his stores with the things he feels like black people love to buy. And we'll go to the same bank and they'll say, you know, those people leaving working. So we've been branded the wrong way. So what we believe is that we're going to be able to, we're going to fix it.
In other words, like Doc often say, y'all, excuse me for cutting y'all, it's one thing that from the time I met Doc, he heard me on the radio back in the early 90s. It's one thing John Robertson, my beautiful brother and friend, have always said, without deviation, one way or another, we are going to get some of these dollars. Our children must have some of this money that is coming into this area. We have local, state, and federal funds that we know through our research and other people that have come to us, we are entitled to, that has not been filtered to the right people for which it was designed. And so, I'm very happy to have this man in our community at this time. We must realize that Bull Connors, George Wallace, Lester Maddox, and others brought Martin Luther King into existence because there was a need for a Dr. King. And the circumstances and the injustices and the unfair treatment in Valdosta and Lowndes County and South Georgia in general, in my most humble opinion, call for men such as myself, men like Brother Robinson, men like, hey, the brother we met a few minutes ago, a white brother a few minutes ago. If you listen to him, he was telling our story, wouldn't you?
Yes, he were. Yes, he were. See, if we change the environment, we change the people, and the only way to change the environment with some class is going to take money, M-O-N-E-Y. And right here in our city, I want to say there's $900 million of federal funds or federal aid funds floating around in our city, but I can rest assured to say I know there's at least $500 million and not one minority contractor. The word minority is a poison word, but we are going to use the chemical antidote of justice and equality by the law and restore that word, okay? We realize the word set aside is a poison word for many, okay?
In the state of Georgia,
in the state of Georgia.
Thanks to our governor.
Nah.
No thanks to our governor.
We are determined that we are going to get our portion of the federal funds. We are working directly from the Chief of Staff office out of Washington, and anybody that we found that should be given stand accountability for any wrongdoing, we're going to recommend they be prosecuted by the full extent of the law. So if anyone is caught misusing and appropriating funds by the United States federal government by manipulating these funds in the wrong area, we're going to recommend that they be prosecuted or we file major litigation. We are not joking about this. Our children is no longer going to suffer based upon the foolishness of these politicians, the foolishness of these big businessmen that's got this power thing locked in. We are not going to be extorted by them using the Indians and everyone to come in and make a profit off of us while our children go lacking and hungry.
Doc, you mean, are you talking about the blacks on these boards too?
I'm talking about any individual, black, white, blue, green, orange, whatsoever his heart say his color is. We are talking about if you have violated or been used as a peon or a puppet by the men of power to destroy us and our children down here, and $1, 1 cent of the federal funds was misappropriated because you wanted your system, we're going to recommend that you be prosecuted by the full extent of the law.
Okay, so in closing, this is kvci.blogspot.com on behalf of truth, right, justice, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and the rest of them, all the great worthies. We come to you because we love truth, and I'm going to let Doc close it out while I step behind the tree and talk to this little red bird that you all soon will know.
Well, more power to the people, and we the people must redirect our funds. We do not have to shop at Mr. Walmart if Mr. Walmart can't speak up for us. If we are not good enough to be treated right at Mr. Walmart, we shouldn't be good enough for him to spend our money at Mr. Walmart, please. If we go into Winn-Dixie and buy our groceries from Mr. Winn-Dixie, if he can't stand up for us and we are not good enough for Mr. Winn-Dixie, our money's not good enough for him. We gonna preach the tune, keep the dollar in the neighborhood, and stay positive. Just stay positive. On that note, on behalf of all of us and our children and those yet to come.
kvci.blogspot.com or Boston G.B.R. on YouTube or Doc Ghetto Child. That's Doc Ghetto Child. You'll see John Robertson on YouTube. We do what we do because we truly, truly love you. Bye-bye, we're gone.